Did you know that one family allegedly had their hands in every major world event for centuries? Wars, revolutions, economic crashes, you name it. It sounds like something straight out of a movie, but this stuff is real. We're diving deep into the world of secretive families. These aren't your regular families. They've been pulling the strings behind the scenes for like ever. Most people have no idea. We're going on a journey into the depths of history's most secretive families. First up, we've got the Rothschilds. Oh, the Rothschilds. You know, a family's got to be important when their name basically sounds like a fancy cheese, right? It all started back in the 18th century with this dude named Mayer Amschel Rothschild, started from the bottom, now we're here kind of boss. So he had these 5 sons, right? And he sent each of them to a different European city. They used carrier pigeons, secret messengers, even coded messages to stay ahead. So the Rothschilds, they were basically like the bankers for kings and queens. They financed wars, funded governments, they were the money behind the throne, literally. They were so powerful. It's rumored they even influenced the outcome of the Napoleonic Wars. The Napoleonic Wars, guys, like history book stuff, and because they were so secretive, rumors started swirling. People were saying they were part of secret societies, that they controlled the world's banks, that they could cause economic crashes with a snap of their fingers. I mean, I'm not saying any of that is true, but it makes you think, right? But here's the thing, right? The Rothschilds were also incredibly philanthropic. They gave away tons of money to charity, funded hospitals, schools, orphanages. It's like they were playing both sides. Were they benevolent benefactors or shadowy puppet masters? Honestly, it's probably a little bit of both. That's what makes them so fascinating. You know, they're this enigma, this puzzle we're still trying to solve. And even though they're not as publicly prominent today, the Rothschild family legacy, it's still out there, lurking in the shadows. Now, I know what you're thinking. Shane, is any of this actually true? And honestly, that's the thing about the Rothschilds. They're so secretive, it's hard to separate fact from fiction. There are tons of conspiracy theories out there, some more believable than others. One theory claims the Rothschilds were responsible for the sinking of the Titanic. Apparently, they wanted to eliminate their rivals who were on board, so they orchestrated the whole thing. I mean, come on, that's dark, even for the Rothschilds. Another theory says they funded the Bolshevik Revolution to destabilize Russia and, profit off the chaos. Again, I don't know about that one, but it wouldn't be the craziest thing they've ever done, right? But here's the thing, guys. Even if half the rumors are true, the Rothschilds were a force to be reckoned with. They understood the power of money, the power of information, and they used it to shape the world in their own image. I mean, that's kind of iconic, right? Next up, we're heading to Italy, the land of pizza, pasta, and oh yeah, the Medici family. The Medicis, they were like the OG influencers. They were patrons of the arts. They threw lavish parties. They basically invented being extra. The Medici story starts in Florence, Italy during the Renaissance, and at the center of it all were the Medicis pulling the strings, whispering in ears, and looking fabulous while doing it. But don't let all the glitz and glamour fool you. The Medicis, they were ruthless. They were like the original Godfather family, but with better fashion sense. They bribed, they blackmailed, they even allegedly offed a few people to get their way. There was this one time when a rival family tried to overthrow the Medicis. They stormed the palace, stabbed Piero de' Medici, straight up Julius Caesar style. But Piero, he was like, not today, Satan. He survived the attack, and the Medicis, they came back stronger than ever. And then there's Lucrezia Borgia. She married into the Medici family, and let's just say she was not afraid to get her hands dirty. Rumors swirled that she used poison to eliminate her enemies. I mean, can you imagine being at a dinner party and wondering if Lucrezia put something in your wine? No thanks. But hey, not all the Medicis were power-hungry maniacs. Some of them were actually pretty chill, like Lorenzo de' Medici, aka Lorenzo the Magnificent. He was a poet, a patron of the arts, and he basically turned Florence into the birthplace of the Renaissance. The Medicis, they understood that art was power. They commissioned masterpieces that are still iconic today, like Michelangelo's David and Botticelli's Birth of Venus. Talk about leaving your mark on the world. But even with all the art and culture, the Medicis, they were still shrouded in secrecy. There were whispers of hidden tunnels, secret societies, and of course more poison. It's like they were living in a real-life Dan Brown novel. Okay, so we're all familiar with JFK, right? The whole Camelot thing, Marilyn Monroe, super handsome, and then assassinated. It's like the biggest mystery ever. But the Kennedys are more than just JFK, guys. Oh, so much more. This family is like the closest thing America has to royalty. Their story starts in Ireland, you know, potato famine, the whole deal. They come to America, and Joe Kennedy Sr., he's like the ultimate patriarch, ambitious AF. He builds this empire, makes a ton of money, and then sets his sights on something bigger, power. And what better way to get power than through politics? His kids, they were basically groomed for greatness. JFK, Bobby, Teddy, they were all supposed to be big names, you know, senators, presidents, the whole 9 yards. And they were. But with the Kennedys, it seems like success and tragedy go hand in hand. Like, is there a curse? I'm just saying. So obviously we have to talk about the assassinations. JFK shot in Dallas. Like, what actually happened that day? Was it really Lee Harvey Oswald, or was there something more sinister going on? The conspiracy theories are wild, guys. People talk about the mafia, the CIA, even Fidel Castro. And then there's Bobby Kennedy. He was running for president, trying to carry the torch, and he gets gunned down too, just like that. Another Kennedy gone too soon. It's like every time they get close to real power, something takes them out. It's actually terrifying. And let's not forget about Teddy Kennedy and the Chappaquiddick incident. A young woman, Mary Jo Kopechne, dies in a car accident, and Teddy, he's the only survivor. The whole thing is shrouded in mystery, and it definitely tarnished his reputation. Some people say it cost him the presidency. But it's not all doom and gloom with the Kennedys. They've also done a lot of good. JFK, he challenged America to go to the moon. Bobby, he fought for civil rights. And Teddy, he became known as the Lion of the Senate for his work on health care and social justice. They're a family of contradictions, you know? They're ambitious and powerful, but also plagued by tragedy and scandal. They represent the American dream, but they also remind us that even the most privileged families aren't immune to heartbreak and loss. And then there's John F. Kennedy Jr., JFK's son. He was like American royalty, everyone loved him. And then he dies in a plane crash with his wife and sister-in-law. It's like the Kennedy curse strikes again. It makes you wonder, is there something more to this family, something we'll never fully understand? Okay, so the Bushes. Another family dynasty, right? 2 presidents, a governor, a senator. It's like politics is in their blood. But where did it all begin? We have to go back to Prescott Bush, the patriarch. He's like the OG Bush. Now Prescott, he wasn't born into wealth and power like some of the other families we've talked about. He worked his way up, became a successful banker, a Wall Street guy. But there's this whole thing about him allegedly being involved with a bank that was seized because of its ties to the Nazis. I know, right? Super shady. But anyway, Prescott, he marries Dorothy Walker, who comes from a wealthy family. Talk about a power couple. They have 5 kids, including one George Herbert Walker Bush, aka Poppy Bush, who would go on to become the 41st president of the United States. Coincidence? I think not. So, Poppy Bush, he's like the golden boy. Yale graduate, war hero, successful businessman. He makes a fortune in the oil industry, which, let's be real, is a whole other can of worms. But anyway, Poppy, he's got his sights set on bigger things. He gets into politics, serves as a congressman, ambassador to the UN, even director of the CIA. Talk about a resume, right? And then in 1980, he becomes Ronald Reagan's vice president. 8 years later, he wins the presidency himself. The Bush dynasty is officially in full swing, but it wasn't all smooth sailing for Poppy. Remember the whole read my lips, no new taxes thing? Yeah, that didn't age well. And then there was the Gulf War, which, you know, war is always complicated. He ends up losing his re-election bid to Bill Clinton in 1992. But don't worry, the Bushes weren't done yet. Enter George W. Bush, aka Dubia, Poppy's son. He's like the black sheep of the family, at least at first. He's got this reputation as a party boy, kind of a goofball. Not exactly presidential material, right? But then, something changes. He finds God, gets serious, and decides to run for president himself. And guess what? He wins. Twice. Talk about a comeback story. Of course, his presidency is dominated by 9/11 and the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, which are still controversial to this day. The Bush dynasty is a trip, you guys. They're powerful, they're connected, and they've had a huge impact on American history. But they're also shrouded in controversy, from Prescott's alleged Nazi ties to the wars in the Middle East. It makes you wonder, what's the real legacy of the Bushes? Okay, you guys buckle up because we're about to dive into the world of the Rockefellers. This family is like next level rich. I'm talking richer than rich. And it all started with one man, John D. Rockefeller. John D., he was a businessman, like a business genius. He saw the potential of oil back when it was still a new thing, and he went all in. He founded Standard Oil, which basically became this massive monopoly controlling like 90% of the oil industry in the US. Can you imagine? He was ruthless though, like cutthroat business tactics, crushing his competition. Some people called him a robber baron, said he was exploiting workers and manipulating the market. But hey, he got results, right? By the time he died, he was the richest man in modern history. Now, with great wealth comes great responsibility, or something like that. John D. Rockefeller, he was a devout Baptist, and he believed in giving back. He became a philanthropist, donated millions to education, medicine, and research. His son, John D. Rockefeller Jr., he continued the family tradition of philanthropy. He built Rockefeller Center in New York City, which is iconic. He also gave away a ton of money to various causes. But here's the thing. There were rumors of family feuds, power struggles, different branches of the family vying for control of the fortune. It's like even with all that money, they couldn't escape drama. The Rockefellers, they've had their hands in everything. Politics, banking, art, you name it. They've been accused of being too powerful, of controlling things from behind the scenes. Some people even believe they're part of the Illuminati. I know, right? Wild. But they've also used their wealth to do a lot of good. They've funded medical breakthroughs, supported the arts, and worked to improve education. They're a complex family, that's for sure. The Rockefellers are a reminder that money can't buy happiness, but it can buy you a lot of influence. They've left an undeniable mark on the world, for better or for worse, and their story is far from over. Okay, you guys, the Habsburgs. This family is like the OG Kardashians, but like 1,000 times more messed up. They were like the ultimate power couple of Europe for centuries. We're talking like emperors, kings, queens, you name it. A Habsburg probably sat on that throne. I'm talking about like Spain, Austria, Hungary, parts of Germany, Italy. They were everywhere. This family portrait, yeah, that's basically a who's who of European royalty back in the day. Can you imagine the drama, the banquets, the jewels? Like, their closets must have been the size of my apartment building. But here's the thing, guys, and this is where it gets really juicy. The Habsburgs, they had this like tiny little problem. They were obsessed, and I mean obsessed with keeping their bloodline pure, like to the point where they were marrying each other, cousins, uncles, nieces, you name it, they were hooking up. And you know what happens when you keep it in the family like that? Yeah, things get a little wonky. I'm talking about genetic issues, guys. And not just like a little sniffle here and there. I'm talking full-on jaw-dropping. What is happening with your face kind of stuff. They called it the Habsburg Jaw. It was this like protruding lower jaw that just kept getting bigger and bigger with each generation. Like, imagine trying to eat a sandwich with that thing. It's no joke, guys. Some of them couldn't even close their mouths properly. And it wasn't just the jaw either. There were like miscarriages, infant deaths, all sorts of health problems. It was like a real-life episode of Game of Thrones, but with less dragons and more like drool. It's kind of sad, actually. They were so obsessed with power and control that they ended up destroying themselves from the inside out. So, what happened to these guys? Well, after centuries of ruling Europe, the Habsburg dynasty finally came crashing down. It was a slow burn, guys, not like a sudden explosion or anything. Think of it more like a melting ice sculpture. World War I was basically the final nail in the coffin. Their empire was crumbling, people were revolting, and the whole inbreeding to stay in power thing wasn't exactly winning them any popularity contests. By the early 20th century, the Habsburgs were pretty much yesterday's news. But you know what's crazy? Even though they're not running the world anymore, their legacy still lives on. Like, their palaces are now museums, their art collections are worth millions, and their story is still being told. It's like a cautionary tale about the dangers of too much power and not enough genetic diversity. You gotta diversify your bonds, people, and your DNA. All right, guys, buckle up, because this next family is the definition of extra. We're talking about the Romanovs, the last imperial dynasty of Russia. Think Fabergé eggs, lavish palaces, and enough drama to make even the messiest reality TV show look tame. For over 300 years, the Romanovs ruled over Russia with an iron fist. They were like the Kardashians on steroids, with even more money, power, and fur coats. Seriously, have you seen pictures of their winter wardrobes? It's insane. But beneath all the glitz and glamour, there was a dark undercurrent of unrest brewing. The Russian people were struggling, there were whispers of revolution, and nobody likes a messy political climate. It's bad for the skin, you know? And then there's Rasputin. Oh my God, Rasputin, this guy deserves his own conspiracy theory video, but basically he was this Siberian mystic who wormed his way into the Romanov family's inner circle. He claimed to have healing powers and influenced the Tsarina's every move. People were convinced he was hypnotizing her, having secret affairs, maybe even controlling the entire country. It was like a real-life soap opera, but with more beards and way more vodka. But the drama wasn't contained to the palace walls. Revolution was brewing outside. And in 1917, the Romanov dynasty came crashing down. The Tsar and his family were imprisoned, and then, well, things got really dark, really fast. In the dead of night, the Romanovs were taken to the basement of a house and brutally executed, shot and bayoneted. Brutal. Their bodies were then hidden, sparking decades of speculation and mystery. Rumors swirled about a missing daughter, Anastasia, who some believed escaped the massacre. There were whispers of hidden jewels, secret diaries, and maybe even a curse on anyone who dared to uncover the truth. It wasn't until the 1990s that the remains of the Romanov family were finally discovered, using DNA testing to confirm their identities. But even today, questions linger about the missing jewels, the true extent of Rasputin's influence, and the final moments of Russia's last imperial family. It's like the ultimate unsolved mystery, and I'm living for it. Okay, you guys, get ready for some serious drama, because this next family makes the Kardashians look like a bunch of amateurs. We're talking about the Borgias, the original scandalous family. It's the Renaissance, baby. Italy is popping off with art, culture, and a whole lot of political intrigue. And right in the thick of it are the Borgias, a family known for their ruthless ambition, their love of luxury, and oh yeah, their tendency to casually poison their enemies. The head honcho of this crazy clan was Rodrigo Borgia, who managed to become Pope Alexander VI. Yeah, you heard that right, the Pope. Talk about a power move, but Rodrigo wasn't exactly known for his piety or his commitment to celibacy. He had a string of mistresses and a whole bunch of illegitimate children, including the infamous Cesare Borgia and his sister Lucrezia. And let me tell you, these kids were playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. Lucrezia, oh Lucrezia, she was like the Kylie Jenner of the Renaissance, beautiful, fashionable, and always surrounded by rumors and speculation. Some people said she was a skilled poisoner, using her charms to get close to her enemies before slipping something deadly into their wine. Others claimed she was a pawn in her family's power games, forced into a series of strategic marriages to further her father and brother's ambitions. Like, imagine being married off to some old dude when you're like 12 years old. That was Lucrezia's life. But whether she was a victim or a villain, one thing's for sure. Lucrezia Borgia knew how to make an entrance, and her brother, Cesare, don't even get me started on Cesare. He was like the original bad boy, a ruthless military leader who inspired both fear and fascination. The Borgias were like a real-life soap opera, full of love affairs, betrayals, and of course, plenty of poisonings. They were eventually brought down by a combination of their own ambition and the enemies they made along the way. But even though their reign of power was relatively short-lived, their story continues to fascinate us centuries later. They were the original scandalous family, and their legacy of power, intrigue, and like really bad behavior continues to inspire books, movies, and of course YouTube videos. Seriously, I could do a whole series on these guys. Okay guys, we're diving into a family that's like literally living in a fairy tale, but also like a soap opera, the Windsors. You know them, you probably love their weird hats, but trust me, there's some shady stuff going on behind those palace walls, like seriously shady. First of all, can we talk about the whole Princess Diana situation? I mean, come on, the car crash, the mysterious circumstances, the fact that no one ever talks about it. It's like something out of a movie, but it's real life and it's creepy as heck. And then there are the rumors, oh my God, the rumors. Secret affairs, hidden scandals, whispers of illegitimate children. These people are like the British Kardashians, but with more corgis and a lot more power. It's wild. So buckle up, because we're about to spill the tea on the Windsor family. From their scandalous love lives to their alleged connections to some pretty powerful people, this is one royal family you don't want to mess with. Let's start with the juicy stuff, shall we? We all know about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, right? Like their whole romance was like a Disney movie, except Meghan's not a princess, she's an American actress, which is like even cooler. But then they went and did the unthinkable. They quit the royal family. They were like, peace out, we're gonna go live in California and be normal. But like, is anything about the royals ever normal? Then there were the rumors about why they really left. Was it because of the British tabloids? Was it because of family drama? Or was it something even more scandalous? Honestly, I don't know what's true anymore, but I'm living for the drama. And speaking of drama, let's talk about Prince Andrew. Oh boy, where do I even begin? This guy has been linked to Jeffrey Epstein, which is like the biggest scandal to hit the royal family in decades. And the way they've handled it? Shady, shady, shady. They've tried to sweep it under the rug, but the internet never forgets, and neither do I. There are just too many questions, too many inconsistencies. It's like they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And in the case of the Windsors, there's a whole lot of smoke. But beyond all the drama and the scandal, there's something kind of sad about the Windsors, you know? Like they're trapped in this gilded cage of tradition and protocol, and they can never really be free. They're constantly being watched, judged, and dissected by the media. It's got to be exhausting. And then there's the whole issue of colonialism. Like, let's not forget that the British Empire was built on the backs of colonized people. And the royal family was at the very top of that system. It's a dark and complicated history, and it's something they're still grappling with today. So yeah, the Windsors are like the ultimate symbol of wealth, power, and tradition. But they're also a reminder that even those who seem to have it all can be trapped by their own legacy, and that sometimes the truth is stranger and more scandalous than fiction. Okay, but seriously guys, what do you think really happened to Princess Diana? Okay guys, buckle up, because this next family is on a whole other level of secretive. We get glimpses into their world through propaganda videos and carefully curated news reports. And at the center of it all is the Kim family, a dynasty that has ruled North Korea with an iron fist for decades. Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea, is revered as a godlike figure. and now his grandson Kim Jong-un is the current supreme leader. The Kim family knows how to play the propaganda game. They've created a mythology around themselves as beloved leaders. They control the media, education, art, and music. It's like living in a real-life dystopian novel. Stories claim Kim Jong-il could control the weather and hit 11 holes in one in golf. Kim Jong-un was rumored to drive at 3 and write a 1,500-page opera. But propaganda is just a fancy word for lies. It's a way to control minds and beliefs. The Kim family are masters of manipulation. They've created an alternate reality where they are heroes. It's a stark reminder that freedom is still a distant dream for many. So, what's the future hold for the Kim family and the people of North Korea? It's hard to say. Kim Jong-un seems to be loosening things up a bit, allowing some outside information into the country and even meeting with world leaders. But it's hard to know if it's genuine or just another calculated move in their game of political chess. There are so many unanswered questions, you guys. What's life really like for ordinary North Koreans? What will happen when Kim Jong-un is gone? Will North Korea ever open up to the rest of the world? It's like staring into a black hole, trying to understand what's going on inside. But one thing's for sure, the Kim family will continue to be a source of fascination and fear for as long as they hold on to power, and that's what makes them so terrifying and so intriguing all at the same time. Wow, you guys, we've just gone deep down the rabbit hole of some of the most secretive families in history. From the scandalous whispers of the British monarchy to the chilling control of the North Korean dynasty, we've seen how wealth, power, and legacy can shape not just individual lives, but entire nations. These families are a reminder that truth is often stranger than fiction, and that sometimes the most fascinating stories are the ones shrouded in mystery. So, what did you guys think? Which family surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to dive deeper into the world of conspiracy and intrigue, make sure to check out my other videos. I promise you won't be disappointed. Stay curious, my friend.